Welcome to Wisco Dice! Hey yo folks, I am your host, the Conesy with the Most, and I am joined today by...
Hey, I'm Suzanne.
And this is episode 133 of the Wisco Dice Tabletop Gaming Podcast. Today is September 28th, 2024, and on today's episode, we're talking about countries that are working together in perfect harmony to solve global climate catastrophe. And if that sounds serious, this topic is, and certainly is, the game we are about to talk about as well. Join us as we chat with Dario Reinhardt about the new game, Earth 2053 Tipping Point. And with that, Suzanne, do you want to introduce our guest?
Yes, so we have special guests with us today. Dario Reinhardt is the designer of this new game that is out on Kickstarter. It is called Earth 2053 Tipping Point. And Dario, welcome. Thank you for joining us a little bit more to our listeners, please.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for inviting me. Dario Reinhardt. I come from Germany. Originally born in Berlin, then moved to Munich, and since then worked as a video game designer. And yeah, a couple of years ago, I found my own board game company. I started with a small dueling card game called Crimson Company. And now Earth 2053 Tipping Point is my second game. And yeah, I'm looking forward, talking to you. Thanks a lot for the invite.
Well, we're certainly excited to talk to you as well. This has definitely been a game that, as we were talking, as we were getting ready to get started here, a game that had already flagged on our radar as something that we wanted to check out and we're likely going to back anyways. And then when the opportunity came on to have you on the show as a guest, well, that just made us extra happy. So we're excited to hear a little bit more about this game. If you wouldn't mind just letting us know a little bit more about Crimson Company. You said this is a game company you founded, and you've already released your first board game. Why start your own board game company? What got you along this path?
Yeah, so the original story is that I was befriended with another game designer in the video game company, Trevian Games. And yeah, we spent the lunch breaks playing Hearthstone, and we got more and more annoyed by all the randomness in the game. We played arena mode then, but still the randomness annoyed us so much that we said, okay, we have to design our own dueling card game, which is not so dependent on randomness. And this was kind of the starting point. I did prototyping before. And so, yeah, it flowed. We came to a cool working game quite early and played it a lot with other people in the company. They enjoyed it a lot, and they urged us to kind of release it. And then we were kind of asking ourselves, okay, how can we do it? We got in contact with an artist, and yeah, we figured out we need about, I don't know, 70K in order to kick a Kickstarter campaign off and pay the artist and so on. So we found this small company and did so, and kickstarted the game first with a small pre-campaign of a print and play. Then we already printed 1,000 copies and sold some of them in Essen 2018. And then we kind of started a Kickstarter campaign for a deluxe version. And initially we said, we don't know how successful this is. For us, it was just important to kind of have our name on a box for a board game. And so we just said, okay, we will do a deluxe version of this first 1,000 copies print, and we'll print out miniature castles, and expected to sell maybe 100 or 200 games or whatever. But the campaign was more successful than anticipated, and I think had over 1,500 supporters. And with this, we were forced to kind of print a deluxe version of it with mold print, and so we started this, and did some expansions for the game. And sadly, at the beginning of the year, my co-founder, Fabian Fischer, kind of found out that he is more and more into indie PC game development, also became more of a programmer. So he dropped out of the company and released his PC game Wreck and Slay, which is on Steam and decently successful. And I'm now alone in the company, but I have been developing Earth 2053 Tipping Point already for 3 or 4 years, 4 years, I think. So I'm really eager to kind of finally bring this on Kickstarter and kick that off. So that's really cool.
That's awesome. And one of the things that had caught my eye when I was first made aware of this game being developed was the whole background and the reasoning for trying to create this game. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the history of how you came to create a game related to like climate change and countries working together?
Yeah, so I had dueling rounds with another friend of mine in Terraforming Mars. So we're playing this for 7 years or something. I don't know. It's crazy. We have an eternal high score with custom house rules, and we are at 637 to 645 points or something in this high score. So it's pretty wild. We are terraforming the Mars for a lot of years already. And at some point I asked myself, it's a bit strange. This was the time when also on Mars came out. So there were all these Mars-themed games. And I asked myself, why isn't it that we first care for our Earth, basically, instead of always thinking about terraforming another planet? And this was kind of the start of my thinking process in developing the game. I had then in the beginning, I had the question, what can be the decisive winning or losing condition in such a game? Because there's no goal of terraforming another planet and getting this to some values. It's more kind of preserving what we have and not losing. But when do you lose in such a game? So there I had the idea then to take a tipping point as the lose condition players fight against. And then I thought, okay, visualizing the tipping point with some kind of a scale or seesaw would be great. And I think this also works out quite well for the game, that you really feel the threat and wanting to do something about this seesaw going in your disadvantage. That creates a very unique, cool feeling to the game, basically.
Saw that seesaw on the website for this game, and that just seems like such an interesting game mechanic to leverage in a game. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the gameplay will actually work in this game and how that gets leveraged exactly? Because that looks really cool and has me really intrigued on how that's going to work mechanically, especially for somebody that's not maybe as dexterous as myself.
The cool thing is it's not about dexterity. It's kind of a more scoring or kind of winning condition track. And that's quite unique, something kind of physical related, so you can't calculate this. It's more you relate on the physics to kind of do the math for you, basically. The idea of the game is straightforward. It's kind of a macro simulation of or showing the dependencies between different things that kind of lead to the topic of climate change and how this can be broken, or how we can kind of solve the issue. So each round, players have to place disaster cards, which kind of represent what's going wrong, basically, in the middle of the table. And based on they have certain rules of how they have to place these disaster cards, and the disaster cards will produce pollution at the end of the turn or the round. So when all players did all the actions and pass, the still active disaster cards will produce pollution. This pollution will be put on the seesaw, and when there's too much pollution on the seesaw, it will tip and all players lose together. But now players, which represent countries, play out cards, and these cards kind of basically provide the population with stuff the population craves for, so improves the living condition of the population. And by this, the players get more influence and can use this influence in order to prevent these disasters or solve these disasters together with the other players. And that's done in strategic form. So you first have to kind of place cards beside the disasters, have to flip them with other cards. And on these flipped cards, you can then play the influence. And the disaster cards point to different sides of them with a different amount of influence they need. And if you kind of put all required influence to all the sides, the disaster is solved and is flipped around. And when a disaster is flipped around, it will produce preservation tokens for you. So that will stabilize the seesaw. And once there's enough preservation tokens on the seesaw that the complete positive side is filled with them, players win together. So this is the winning condition.
Yeah, it just sounds really cool. Like building out this tableau, and each player or each country has asymmetric abilities, correct? Like they have different strengths and weaknesses, and it seems like it's a really unique way of having everyone work together to solve, quote unquote, solve this, this world disasters that are coming. And the colors are great on it too.
Yeah, the colors represent the different categories in which you want to increase the living conditions of the population. So you have, for example, the health color is red, and on the game board you will have as a country kind of a health system on level 2 or 3, or how good your population is provided with the health benefits, so to say. And the cool thing is you can increase this to get the bonuses, but you also have kind of your credits, so there's a budget assigned to the health thing. And this is kind of when you play a card, you have to think about which budgets you take the money from in order to play the cards, because many cards require specific credits from a budget. So a health card might need 5 credits from the health category and, 10 general credits. So you have to really plan ahead that you have enough of this health credits in advance. And at the beginning of a turn, you get basically additional budget in each category equal to the level you are in these categories, and then you can play further with this. So you have to plan a bit ahead, maybe also increase one level of a category in order to get more budget for the next turn. So there's a lot of depth to the game, but it doesn't have too many rules. So it's at the core, it's pretty simple, but it's very compact with kind of the rules it has and what emerges out of those.
That's cool. It's so there's not much to read before you can start playing it. So you're going to focus most of your time on playing the game instead of teaching people how to. So, and how many players can play this game? I forget. Is it up to 4?
Yes. So it's a great game for solo play. You can play it alone, but you can also play it with up to 3 of your friends. And the cool thing is that the playing time, normally the playing time scales a lot with the players, and there's something like 30 or 45 minutes per player on the package. But for Earth 2053 tipping point, it is that the playing time almost is equal if you play with 1 or with 4 players, because each round, each player places one of the disaster cards on the game board. So with 4 players, you in average solve 4 times the amount of disasters in one round, basically. And with this, you play less rounds, but each round is more intensive, and you cooperate more and have to kind of align more on what you're doing. So this works quite well, so that the playing time is always about an hour.
Nice.
I like that playtime. That's actually really nice to be able to fit into an evening after work, or any of our gaming events that we run, or for convention gaming that we run. So that sounds great. I imagine a lot of research went into this game. There's probably a bunch of science and political research and how these countries maybe work together, etc. How did you bring that all together, and tell us a little bit about how you kind of approach making sure you got that part right in the game as well?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor degree in geology, so I understand at least a bit of the basics, basically, which also allowed me to read a lot of papers and stuff at the beginning of the project. Of course, there's really a lot of stuff around the topic of climate change, and it's hard to cover everything, and I don't know if anyone has kind of an overview of everything around the topic. Yeah, with the game, of course, I had to convert all this stuff into decisive game mechanics, and so it's very simplified. And for me, it was very important to kind of describe the basic dependencies in the game. And the basic dependencies I see is that there is basically a social dependency. So when you care good for a population, this population is much more willing to do something on the global level against climate change. You can also see this in the population of developed countries like Denmark or whatever. Those people are very engaged in these topics because they basically don't have to be scared of what they eat in the evening or whatever. So I wanted to bring it in this aspect, and this is also covered by a scientific model called the donut economics. And this model basically says, okay, you have to find the sweet spot in between serving the population's needs, but don't overshoot in doing so, because overshooting will cause non-sustainability. You will then kind of destroy the environment, basically. And this is the main thing the game shows, basically, that there is a fine balance you have to basically find. So when you in the game, for example, extend too much, increase one level too much, you won't be rewarded much for that, but there will occur a lot of pollution by that. So you have to kind of find the right balance and not kind of overshooting in one thing like housing and ignoring the other stuff. There's a lot to that. And of course, I watched a lot of documentations and read a lot of stuff. Also got inspired by the disasters, and especially which different concepts there are in order to fight climate change. So what I also did, I used the different categories on the game board, also for the cards. So you have also the cards in the 9 different categories there are. And each card kind of represents one project, one thing humanity kind of can do in improving the living condition of a population without harming the climate basically too much. So there's a lot kind of sources to that, but that in my mind kind of forged together into this model. And I also tried to get in contact with many scientists and kind of explained this basic dependencies, and that seems to be fine. And then the positive thing is I personally don't have to go too much into detail. It's more of, okay, the system in itself is rational, basically, and what the single project cards, for example, do, or how much pollution the disasters cause, and so on. That is not basically so important, because it's about the general relationship between different objects you have to care for.
Oh, that's cool. I enjoy hearing about games that are being designed where someone has an interest in something, and then kind of like in school when you have to write a report, but this is better. You get to learn all about what you're interested in right now, and then you get to make a game so you can share that information with everyone else. So I appreciate you spending all that time, and everyone else who does a bunch of research into kind of, what's actually the scientific research in some of the games. So we talked about the teeter totter. That's going to be really cool in there. Um, is there anything else that you think is just super exciting that other people should know about this game, with how it's designed, how it looks, how it plays, that makes it stand out?
Yeah, so what it really makes stand out is, I think, the whole, there are different things from the design side I'm proud of course. Using the seesaw or integrating some physical element like a seesaw is something special to a game. But also the game boards, how they are designed with different tracks. You level up, and then you only get bonuses when the neighboring category is higher. That's also very interesting. There are different cool things about the game. Of course, the seesaw does a great job in integrating a physical element in such a strategy game, but also the player boards are very interesting because there are 9 tracks. The tracks are interrelated to each other, so it's always dependent on when you increase one track, you always have to do this in relationship to the 2 neighboring tracks and only get a bonus when the neighboring track is higher. That's very interesting, and I've never seen that. What's also cool is that I put some kind of asymmetry in that, because there are always kind of 3 tracks a country is not interested in, so the players don't get an income in this category, but these categories always provide a bonus for the neighboring categories. And what's also very, very cool is how the disasters are integrated into the shared board, basically. So the disasters are put in the middle on the tables. Players always place their hand cards somewhere in this shared grid. And the colors kind of do their thing, and kind of prepare, giving bonuses, and also forcing players, when the disasters are drawn from the disaster board at the beginning of the disaster pile at the beginning of each turn. You can always only put them nearby the same color, and that makes it very interesting and special where these disasters will occur. So this integration of players play cards and fight the disasters within the same grid, and all players play together in the same grid. Those are also things I've never seen in another board game. It comes, so you can imagine it like the board game Earth, where you have your own player board of a card grid, basically, but all players doing this together in the middle of the table, and there's also the disasters coming in. I think from a game design perspective, this is quite interesting.
Definitely sounds quite a bit unique and different, but also as you're describing some of those mechanisms, tracks. Well, lots of games use tracks, but you've got this clever way you're using them, which is trying to keep everything in balance and that synergy, while at the same time keeping a little asymmetry in there is always something we like to look for in games. I know Suzanne's a big fan of having some form of asymmetry between all of the players. So sounds like you're hitting all of the keywords that we like to hear in a game. So
yeah, cool. I have to add one thing there. You not only have the asymmetry in the different countries, but each player also has an advisor card. And this advisor kind of guides the player with the different action the player can do, and the advisors also have a special action only this player with that advisor can do. So you have kind of these both two parts of asymmetry, what the countries can do, and also what the players can do with their advisor cards.
And the advisor cards, are they set per country, or is that something that's dealt out, like, say, at random at the beginning of the game?
Players choose their country and their advisor cards at the beginning of the game, basically.
Okay. So you have a bunch of control over those kind of factors. You can combo them up what you think might be most advantageous for the game. Interesting.
Nice.
So I couldn't help but notice on your website that you had the cooperation of one of my favorite designers, Uwe Rosenberg, on this game. What was that experience like?
Yeah, that was great. So I originally come from Berlin, and it turned out that his sister also lives in the same suburb of Berlin called Heiligensee, where I'm originally coming from. And he's very interested in environmental games, and was in a very interesting event where a violinist, basically a famous one, played a lot of Caverna and Agricola during his time in New York, with other people, and it was kind of an end of a season event where they invited Uwe Rosenberg to kind of participate and being interviewed in the evenings. So Uwe Rosenberg stayed in Berlin, so I had or in Heiligensee, so I had the honor to meet him there, and we spent kind of 2 days basically together. It was very hot. at these days it was in summer, but it was very interesting because he gave me many impulses and interesting insights and stories and background and context about the game. And I'm very grateful, and it's also very nice that he, as kind of one of my childhood heroes, kind of took the time to guide me through all this and giving his great background, and you really see how experienced he is and how many connections he has with people. It's really a very important figure for the German board game industry, and it's also kind of impressive how many other things he's involved. So he has, for example, at the moment he's pursuing a project called Schule und Spiel, so school and play, basically, where children can play board games in school, guided by their teachers. And he's pushing that, and he's doing so many great things, and just a great guy.
It's definitely a person that I would love to have an opportunity to meet and interview, for sure. Absolutely. So glad that you had that opportunity. It's definitely, I think back to some of my early days in board gaming, and Agricola was absolutely right there as a early in my board gaming experience, and really drew me in. It is still to this day one of my favorite games to play, and I love playing it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you've done with those words of wisdom in Earth 2053, and getting an opportunity to play this.
I think Agricola and other games of Uwe Rosenberg, games kind of I know of do as a good job in kind of connecting theme with kind of gameplay mechanics, and all the steps you do in Agricola. You really feel you're running a farm, and you have to kind of care for the people and the cattle there. It's really amazing how he does this.
I certainly feel like I'm a starving farmer all the time. That's for sure. What do you mean I gotta feed my family again?
Or you play like me and forget all about feeding them and let them starve and lose the game. Or
needing to get wood constantly. I need wood. Why did you take all the wood spots?
But Yeah, that's really awesome. And now I feel like we're one step closer to meeting him since we have had the pleasure of talking with you, someone who has been in his presence. So let's get back to Earth 2053 Tipping Point, because that is the hot new game that you are working on right now. You have a Kickstarter coming out. Do you want to tell our listeners a bit about the Kickstarter, what they have to look forward to, with dates and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so actually, while we're talking, the Kickstarter should run by now. So yeah, we pre-recorded this, and it should start at the 15th of October. So hopefully everything went well and it's already running. Yeah, so the Kickstarter is kind of the attempt to finance this game I worked on for several years now, and of course the Kickstarter campaign allows to produce the game in a great quality and kind of not in a retail form where it's about kind of being as cost efficient as possible. Yeah, the Kickstarter really allows to produce the game, hopefully in a way that it is kind of perfect for the game and its mechanics, and kind of helps to create the best possible gaming experience. Yeah, there is the possibility in the first 48 hours to kind of get your name at the inside of the box, and we will also unlock some stretch goals during the campaign. And one interesting and cool thing is that you will be able to unlock cool, important people in the field of climate change, or that did great work in order to make people aware of, or kind of do their research and other things at the topic around climate change. There are also a few famous board game designers who did great climate change games, for example Uwe Rosenberg with Ativa, but also others. I won't disclose all now. Yeah, so be excited to do the campaign, and I hope we unlock those advisor cards, because I would love to play with those guys and see the game becoming a reality.
Yeah.
Well, I think we definitely want to see that, because I want more of those kind of things. So if you're listening to this show, you should be able to head right on over to Kickstarter and back this game. Do it. Do it now. Just go. Do it. Don't pause the show. Yep. That's you. Please pause the show. Go back the game. Yeah. If you're not sure where to get to it, though, you can head over to wiscodice.com. Hey, Suzanne, what was that website?
Wiscodice.com, Conesy.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes I forget. So you can head over to wiscodice.com. We'll have all the links that you need to get over and find this game, find the website where the rules are for this game. I believe it's on digitally on a couple of platforms, or at least one platform.
Yeah,
it's on the Tabletop Simulator.
Yep, Tabletop Simulator. So you can go play it on Tabletop Simulator right now and check it out. The rules are there and available, so you can check. You can find out all of the details you already about the game and make sure it's right for you. But I'm telling you, I think this is going to be a real fun game, especially if you like other games. Like if you're into Terraforming Mars, or you're into Earth, or you're into some of the other games that are very similar around climate change in this genre, you're going to really love this game. I think it's going to be a really fun co-op experience from what we've heard in trying to overcome disasters ultimately and sustain the human race. What more is there to say about that?
Well, you get to play with a teeter-totter or a seesaw in there too.
Like, that is brilliant. Like I saw the picture of him, like, that can't be real. Oh yeah, it is.
Yep. So
all right.
Is
there anything else that you wanted to share with the audience at this point? I mean, I think we've got them all pumped up. They probably already backed if they listened to me. So what else is there to share? What else should we know?
I think we covered a lot of the stuff. Of course, there's a lot to the game in the depth, and also the game, of course, tries to do something I call enlightening fun. So kind of teach, or not teach, but first of all, it should be there to enjoyment, and the game is a lot of fun, but it also kind of course, helps to make up your mind about the whole climate change topic, and makes it possible to kind of experience the whole thing and what would you do and so on to increase awareness. So I think that goes quite well hand in hand with the game, and works great. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of cool, interesting new stuff to it, and yeah, I would love you to try it out, give it a chance, and come over to the Kickstarter, ask your questions, and I would be very happy if the game would become reality.
So would we. All right. Well, with that, we want to thank you so much, Dario, for coming on the show and having this chat with us. We really appreciate it. We're excited. We're backers at this point, even though this is pre-recorded, but we're going to definitely be clicking on day one, make sure our names are on the box. We recommend you do too. Until next time.
Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you leave a review of this show wherever your favorite place is to find podcasts. Oh, and by the way, give us a like on our Facebook page. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or Pinterest while you're at it. If you haven't looked recently, make sure you catch up on the blog at wiscodice.com. Hey, Brian, what's that site?
Ah, darn, I forget. Justin, what's our website again?
wiscodice.com.
That's right, it's wiscodice.com. And until next time, everyone, peace out.